Welcome to the show. As usual, we are going to take a trip around the pages of newspapers across the country. And on the second part of the show, we will now take an in-depth look at some of the stories. And we start off right away with the Punch newspaper. The headline says, "Hunger protests. Victims' families recount ordeals. Demand bailout." That's from the front page of the Punch newspaper. And NUPRC is set to amend domestic crude supply regulations. That's still on the front page of the Punch newspapers. And vehicles burnt as gas explodes in Lagos filling station. That was a sad scene yesterday in Lagos. Woman accuses police of shooting son. Police command says looting aborted. Okay. Dangote refinery designed to process Nigerian crude. This is coming from the CEO of the refinery. APC opposition clash over NLC Secretariat invasion. We also have federal government suspends registration for 40,000 naira rise. And NNPCL demands 4.7 trillion naira petrol import refund. Those are the headlines that you can find on the front page of the Punch newspapers. And next is the Guardian newspapers. Billions in drains as Southeast struggles with abandoned mega projects. Manufacturers decry 1.5 trillion naira forex transaction losses in 6 months. Marketers hopeful of Port Harcourt refinery's August timeline. And Nigeria's 20 billion naira budget, $20 billion budget can't fast-track development far below global peers, says Bagudu. And we also have this Southwest leads with 22.72% share of FACS, 281 billion naira to local government areas. Nigeria to cut unemployment with AI technology empowers 70% of youth. That's a good one. Next port is the Nation newspaper. Flush out illegal miners. President tells military. That's a marching order. Protest how minister intervene to save trade industry from disruption. We also have Ekiti government, PDP chief clash over allocation spending. PDP accuses Ayedetiwa of repackaging President Tinubu's palliatives. And still the chief body judge. Lagos moves to boost youth enrollment in military. These are the headlines that you can find on the front page of the Nation newspapers. Well, this day newspaper is next. Idris, that's the Minister of Information. Fuel subsidy removal, forex window unification aimed at rescuing Nigeria's economy. That's from the spokesperson of the federal government. Governor Sule confirms this day's story, says 573 billion naira was World Bank loan not grant by FG to states. Dangote refineries insist no backtracking on accusation of oil producers' reluctance to supply crude oil. CBN demands transaction evidence on all disinvestments, repatriation of foreign investment. Yemi Esson, I never dreamt of becoming head of civil service. Military uncovers, dismantles terrorists. Federal government pledges to assist Nigerian Air Force acquire affordable houses for officers. Oh, that's this breaking news from this day. Former CAF President Issa Hayatou dies at 78. FG begins investigation into nationwide protests, vows to bring criminals to justice. We saw that yesterday. Okay, we move on to the Tribune newspapers. Dangote clarifies stand on NNPC's crude oil supply to refinery. Corruption, 700 billion naira paid as bribes in 2023. That is from the ICPC chairman. Protest, okay. FG government suspend plans to sell 50 kg bags of rice to civil servants. Delta CP told citizens, discourage criminality and stop celebrating ill-gotten wealth. And onto Edo politics, Edo Guba. Political parties only submitted 56% of expected agents. That's coming from INEC. Downpour cut off Kano Maiduguri Expressway. Oh, that's a sad one. NSCDC Anambra arrests suspect impersonating Nigerian Navy. Anambra Traffic Agency suspends 3 officers fighting policewoman over money. Okay, to Vanguard newspaper. How hoodlums hijacked hunger protests unleashed terror in northern Nigeria. Manufacturers incur 1.5 trillion naira forex losses in 6 months. Edo Guba, 17 parties nominate only 56% of polling unit coalition agents. That's from INEC. 20 persons, 2 persons, 7 vehicles burnt as gas truck explodes at Lagos fuel station. Akwa Ibom unveils 178-year-old slave boats confiscated by natives. Troops snap kidnapper, gun runner in Kaduna, Borno, Plateau, and Oyo State. Police probe mysterious death of cross-dresser in Abuja. Our story has been trending since yesterday. How hoodlums hijacked hunger protest unleashed terror in northern states. Yes, we've seen that before. And Okay, from the Vanguard newspaper, we move on to the Punch newspaper. Okay, I think we've taken the Punch. Let's move on to the Daily Trust. What we lost during protest, traders, transporters. I guess it's time to count the losses. Federal government to pay Julius Berger 280 billion naira to complete Abuja-Kano highway. Troops snap gun runners in Northwest. Okay, 25 die in Jigawa Bayelsa boat mishap. Sad story there. All right, I think we've taken enough from the pages of the newspapers across the country. We will take a short break, and when we return, our guests will do justice to some of the headlines by looking at it in details. It's still Newspaper Review on Citizen 93.7 FM here in Abuja. Please don't go away as the show returns in a moment.
Wake up. Reach out. Speak up. Speak out. You are the voice of a new generation. And this
is your station.
Talk Radio 93.7 Citizen FM.
Of our dream. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your dream. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Yeah. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy. Epa! Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Shiki, shiki, shiki. Citizen FM, Citizen FM.
Oya o my people, make una come gather here. Which kind tori una wan hear on top radio? Wetin dey catch fire on top social media? 5:10 wey be 10 minutes after 5. Make we talk am as e dey be.
Feeling low, bored, or confused?
Wants your dream to brightly glow?
Here is what to do.
Women's Corner is waiting just for you.
Education, work, lifestyle, career, mentorship, and family too.
We will tackle the issues, provide solutions, and see you through. Finding your voice, reaching high, and making an impact. Women's Corner, where knowledge can fly.
Join us every Mondays and Wednesdays at 1 p.m. for inspiring stories and practical advice to reach all your glories.
It's Women's Corner on Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja.
Woman don't suffer, lower everybody.
Did you miss out on the news during the week? Not to worry. A retrospect is here to make up for the missed information. Retrospect is a complete package of all the major news headlines that made the airwaves from Sunday to Saturday. Join me, Esther Musu on the program Retrospect on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja every Sunday at 6 p.m. Retrospect, we keep you informed.
Security and Civil Defense Corps, a member nation of the International Civil Defense Organization with a world headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland, NSCDC, the Defender. That's who we are.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's a newspaper review on Citizen 90. We look at the headlines in details. My guest is already seated, Mr. Salmon Salame, COO, Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja. Good morning, Mr. Salame.
Very good morning to you, Lawrence. Happy Jumat.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Salami. And straight off, let's get down to business. The Punch newspaper is where we start off. Hunger protest. Victims, families recount ordeal, demand bailout. As the protests fizzle out, many Nigerians, especially in the north, will live with the wounds, scars, and financial losses for a long time to come. And the protests against economic hardship, which started August 1, continued even after the president's speech. The cost of living crisis was fueled by surging inflation and other things. At least 17 persons were reportedly injured across the country in Suleja and so many other places.
Well, I've been saying it that in everything there is need for circumspection. And we should look at the end from the beginning. Those of us who warned that although it is an inalienable right of every Nigerian to gather freely, freedom of association, so also it is a fundamental right of any Nigerian to protest. Where the caveat is that it must be a lawful protest and it must not tamper with the rights of other people. But experience has shown that protests in Nigeria have not been peaceful. It has always been hijacked by hoodlums, miscreants, urchins, and those who are waiting in the wings to take advantage. And we've all seen what happened. Lootings, killings, and what have you. Now, we are back to what we have been saying, that there is a need to come to the table and jojo. Why? Jojo is better than war. Now that it's all over, I will borrow the song of a fella Nicola Puputi, Sorrow, Tears, and Blood. That is what it is today. We are licking our wounds. What did they lose? Let the voice of reason and the voice of wisdom prevail in whatever we do. Let us always remember that there are consequences now we are now saying that we are now demanding
Bailout.
From who?
From the government.
I see. The Yorubas will say, ẹ jẹ́ ká fowó Abu ṣe Abu lálejò. Let us use Abu's money to entertain Abu. The money they are going to use to replace and repair what we damage in our rage of senselessness, quote and unquote, could have been used on many other beneficial things. Well, this is another lesson. I won't say this is a lesson because we have been going through this times and times over. Let us be circumspect. Let us embrace dialogue. Let us be patriotic. We are calling for this because this is the best way to go and it is in our own interest. At the end of the day, when two elephants fight, the grass, in this case, the common man, are the ones who will suffer.
All right. You can join the discussion. The phone lines are open now. 0903 2229797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0818 2222206. You can also send us a WhatsApp message on any of these numbers. It's still newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 Abuja. Mr. Salami, let's move to another story, still staying with the Punch newspaper. Federal government suspends registration for 40,000 naira rise. The federal government has withdrawn the circular circulating directing civil servants to register for the purchase of 50 kg bag of rice at a subsidized rate of 40,000 naira. The withdrawal of the circular was communicated in another circular by the Director of Human Resources at the Ministry of Special Duties. I'm looking at, earlier the ministry had invited all civil servants interested in the purchasing of the rice. It noted that payments for and distribution of the rice would be coordinated. And that was initially. But this has been withdrawn. And I'm trying to see whether there's any reason given for the withdrawal. There seems to be no reason stated in this, Mr. Salam.
Well, I don't know for now why sale for now of the 50 kg rice for 40,000 naira. Well, I always believe that there is the need to get it right. Just like in journalism, I don't like rejoinder. In the same vein, the government should have gotten its act right before issuing the circular in the first instance. Because these are the kind of things that portray the government as being unserious. And that is the word. Because here I will call a spade its right name. To call a spade of the circular. I hope and pray that they will do the needful on time. Because whenever hunger sets in, there is no other word that comes in.
All right, let's move to this day newspaper. And here it leads with this story. Fuel subsidy removal, forex window unification aimed at rescuing Nigeria's economy. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, yesterday argued that the removal of petroleum subsidy as well as merging of the foreign exchange windows were meant to rescue Nigeria's economy from failing. However, the chairman of this day and Arise TV Media Group, Prince Nduka Obiagbena, maintained that by announcing the two reforms at the same time, the economic change rate to modulate the economy. The minister and Obiagbena spoke during Idris' visit to Arise office. Idris stressed that Tinubu had to take the decision to save Nigerians' economy, which was almost moribund when the president took over, admitting that the last 14 months of this government had been very challenging, Mr. Salami.
Very, very challenging, no doubt about it. I align myself in total with the views of the Duke himself. I mean, Nduka Obaigbena. You see, I want to believe that you need to be alive first to enjoy the economy. And I want to believe again that the two policies that came almost at the same time is at the root of the hardship that we are going through in the land. Well, don't let us postpone the evil day, because it's the right. The hardship in the land is much. Let the government do something about it. It is only the living that will enjoy a good economy. Let us live.
All right, as I said earlier, the lines are open now. You can call us on 0903 2219797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0818 2222206. I'm Mr. Salami, still staying with this day newspaper. There's this story here. Dangote Refinery insists no backtracking on accusation of oil producers' reluctance to supply crude. It does look as if the last of this has not been heard. The management of the Dangote Refinery yesterday said that it had not backtracked on its position that oil producers were undersupplying the refinery. In a statement, the company maintained that the NNPC only supplies 60% of the 50 million barrels lifted in our oil company. Only 6 were allocated by the NNPC, and the blame game goes on and on and on, Mr. Salami.
Well, I want to believe that Mr. President should come in. This is becoming, if it has not, a very national embarrassment. And what signal are we sending out to the so-called foreign investors that we always go? We are telling the international community it's not safe. For how long are we going to be on this ding-dong game? Let the federal government, let Mr. President wade in. Although he had directed that they should sell the crude in Naira to the Dangote Refinery. But what exactly is happening? Well, thank God that the Senate started the investigation yesterday. Let the worms come out. The Nigerians will know who to blame. But please do the needful and let the Dangote Refinery get enough crude. It is in the best interest of the common man. And I know that at the end of the day, the truth will be told. And Nigerians will know exactly who is their friend. The patriots.
All right, Mr. Salam, let's move on to the Tribune newspaper here. It says corruption, 700 billion naira paid as bribes in 2023. Its trust in public institution undermines the rule of law and stifles economic growth. Chairman of ICIN bribes. Let's take that again. An estimated 87 million bribes, amounting to 7 in rural areas than in urban areas. Ali, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, spoke when he delivered a keynote address at the ongoing International Law Conference organized by the Faculty of Law and Ahmadu Bello University. Mr. Salami, this is chilling. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this first?
87 million bribes. And it was prevalent even in the rural areas. God, save this country. There was a time that we were giving Baba Buhari's life portrait with a footnote. Corruption is one of our big Nigerian is corrupt. And that is the truth. You go to the ministries, the messenger will be looking at you. The man who is manning the gate, expects you to do something, and the moment your name is announced as a public office holder, your family too believes that yes, our time has come. Forgetting.
And your friends too.
Almost everybody believes that yes, turn by turn Nigeria. One of our friends is now in government, so it is our turn to have a share of the cake. It has to do with the mind and the mindset. There is the need for mindset reset, attitudinal change, behavioral change, and this is where NOA should come in. We are all involved. There is the need for us to have a change of mind and do the right thing. Let's save this country. Truth be told, corruption is massive, and that is the truth. Lawrence, they see what is going on even at the National Assembly, House of Rep. You gave $1.7 million to get the chairmanship of a committee.
But that's an allegation.
Or you did not. That's what I'm saying. It is an allegation. But then we have heard about it. The thing is this. There is nowhere in the world that there is no corruption. But detection and punishment. If you know that you'll be caught, chances are that you will not do it. If you know that when you are caught, you will be punished, chances are that you think twice. If a taxi driver, if he's driving and he sees law enforcement agents, he knows that at the end of the day, I will roger, using their words. I think there is the need for us to have a change of mind. We just cannot continue like this. God save Nigeria.
Amen, Mr. Salami. But when you say that we need a reorientation and all that, my question is, who will bail the cat? Because it's not as if we're expecting a set of angels to be imported from Mars down to Nigeria to help us fight corruption.
You will bail the cat.
We will need people in Nigeria to fight corruption. Are they on the same page? Do they really, the people in charge of different roles, do they really believe that corruption should be fought? That is always the problem, because on paper, yes, we need to call on our anti-graft agencies, we need to call on the security agencies to fight and detect crime, but these are peopled by Nigerians who buy in the same mark of offices that they occupy and so many other things. What do we do?
Well, there are still some decent within their means, and they have the fear of God, and they have high moral standard. There are still some Nigerians, and I want to believe that you do that. We have started. Don't let in
between a sound sleep. I think it was this thing with the Punch newspaper, the Tribune newspaper. Edo Guba, political parties submitted 55% of expected agents in INEC. This is the story. Ahead of the September governorship elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission has declared the number of polling units and collation centers for the off-season election, saying only 56% of the expected agents have been submitted. The National Commissioner for INEC revealed this. The commission further disclosed that while it expects a cumulative figure of 80,000 agents, only 44,000 were uploaded to the portal made by INEC. Mr. Salami, why I picked this story? You know, despite the fact that it's an off-cycle election, was the polling units. And the import of this is not just to ensure transparency, to protect the interests of your political party, but in case there are anomalies and you need to prove a point in court, you will need the evidence from this polling unit. Remember the 2023 general election most of the cases that were thrown out by the court. Oh, you did not prove, you did not have witnesses who were there when these things happen. And that is when these political parties will now start crying at the end of the day.
Well, I think there is the need for a massive political awareness.
Well, they are aware, it's in the law. All political parties know that this is what is supposed to be done.
Well, there are limitations. You know, it involves money. You need money to do all this. And it is after that they will begin to your ears, or they are to serve as your from those polling units. But it is not good enough for our democracy. It is not good enough for us, because we have been clamoring for a free, fair, and credible election. And unless parties are satisfied that yes, the election has been conducted freely and fairly, and we've been given the opportunity to choose a candidate of our choice through the ballot. But more than that, this thing requires a lot of money. It requires a lot of money. And I think there is the need for the political leaders to have a rethink and have the amount of money needed. Quite many decent Nigerians, quote and unquote, are not able to participate in democracy because of the volume or amount of money that is needed to partake in it. Should we continue like this? Let us think outside of the box and ensure more participation in such a way that at the end of the day, the ballot box will speak, and will speak well for the people.
All right, Mr. Salam. You see, there has always been back and forth about this. On one hand, some people would advocate that, it's a very expensive venture. How many political parties can afford to have agents across all the polling units in the state, for example, even at the national level, across the country? But then there is also the question that if you claim to be a political party with a
national spread,
with a national spread, or in this case, the state with a statewide spread, you will have members across all the local governments, all the wards. Then you should be able to mobilize agents across this polling units and everything. And most of these political parties, to pick up their forms, they're not cheap. Understand? So it's a situation, like you said, maybe we'll revisit the electoral laws again and look at it. If we want political parties with national outlook, then we know that not all political parties can meet that. A political party, for example, that in a general election cannot muster up to 50 lean resources. You cannot even mobilize polling agents in 20% of the polling units across the country.
Take the registered some political parties. I remember that Danifa Emi late went to court and said that as it concerns us, as is the need to regulate it should not be a free-for-all kind of thing where you and your wife and your children could come to INEC and become a politician. But at the same time, it should not be left unregulated. There is a need to, because I know that not they are out for. And if you feel that there is already a party that has the same ideology as you have or with yours, why don't you merge with that party instead of saying that you want to go solo, that you want to go it alone too? That is not the way to go. You just be dissipating energy, and it will be moving around without motion, without movement.
Mr. Salame, I quite agree with you, but then we are assuming that the intent of these political parties is to gain political power. But we know that most of these so-called smaller political parties are vehicles for some bigwigs who have special interest for them. Some of them are used as alternative in case they lose power in the big political election comes. You see 20, 30 of these so-called political parties say, oh, we have abandoned our dream. We are now supporting Party A, we are now supporting Party B. And it's just a portfolio vehicle, as you said, a portfolio political party, just for some gains for these people. But then, I think this is a discussion that we will continue in the course of our political discussion and newspaper. Billions in drains as Southeast struggles with abandoned mega projects. The rising profile of the Southeast as a haven for abandoned projects is fanning the embers of worries among residents and stakeholders in the region who deplore politicians' non-altruistic reasons for project initiation and execution. They regret that several projects that should have boosted the economy of the region or radically improved the lives of their constituents have been abandoned. There are tons of taxpayers' money that shown through this poorly conceptualized or politically motivated project. Mr. Salami, we've talked about this in the course of our discussion over your take on this.
Well, you see, there is the need for our public office holders to first engage the people and know exactly what and what do we need, instead of embarking on what are called white elephant projects. That's one. Then two, it met. They would rather abandon. It is not in the interest of the people. It is in the interest of their pocket. And there is the need for us to ensure that light and the money to see it through should be budgeted for and should be there. There is no need for us to litter the old places with abandoned projects. For example, the fad now is airports. I don't know whether you have one in your village now.
No. We are planning to.
Imagine.
Anyway, Mr. Salabi, see, let's look at this other side. Our political leaders, elected political officers are politicians. What is our political culture about? What is our template for performance? How do we measure the performance of any hospitals did he build? How many did he bring airports to the states and everything? These are what we consider. And nobody asks the questions of, how many ongoing projects did they complete? I was listening to some arguments recently about the FCT being hailed by a cross-section of people. But there are some people who started them and he has never started a new project. He's just completing. You see the mentality? Not forgetting the fact that 90% of the projects done by the FCT minister were not initiated by him, but he completed them in record time. Some of the projects were initiated 8 years ago and left in a very sorry state. And it took him less than 1 year to complete those projects. So this sometimes is the dilemma of some of our political leaders, because they know that when you are going for second term, some of these questions will be asked by people are considered who are very ignorant about how governance runs, how government runs, about, what did you do? If somebody completes an ongoing project, it's as good as the person doing that project. We know that government is a continuum, is not somebody's personal property at the end of the day.
Well, you see, it is neither here. In whose interest? That is why we should avoid poor conceptualization. Those who name airports, we need to know exactly what you need. For example, what is needed in a state may not be needed in another state. How much money will I make
from this project?
And that is sad. This is really sad. There are quite some contractors too that will just collect the mobilization fee and abandon the place. And since there is no consequence, what do you find? All the place.
All right, Mr. Salami, before we go, we're gradually running out of time. Let's look at this story from the Nation newspapers. Flush out illegal miners, President tells military. This is from the Nation newspaper. To give impetus to the government's economic diversification efforts, President Bola Tinubu has charged the military to flush out illegal miners. Mining is a veritable source of revenue that can favorably compete with the income from oil. The Minister of Solid Minerals, Dele Alake, has stepped up efforts to make the sector perform optimally in revenue generation for the country. And speaking when he received a course, 32 participants of the National Defense College, a State House, the president said, I recognize the need for the diversification of the economy, and we all have been pushing hard for this. And that's the long and short of the story, Mr. Salami, is that this is another marching order to the military. And you know that a lot of efforts have been made in that sector. And that's why we say that sometimes the individual makes a difference in an office. And since the coming of Dr. Dele Alake, you've seen dramatic and radical changes in that sector.
Yes, the office is as big as the person occupying it. It is as much too as the person who is in the office. We have now seen that the mining areas for it can hand the country humongous amount of revenue, if not more than what we are getting from crude oil. And that is why the government, in its bid to diversify the economy, is beaming its searchlight and paying particular attention to that sector, because and the exclusive preserve of foreigners. If you go to Zamfara State, you will think you are in China. And there are people, other nationals, who are there. That is what they are engaging in, illegal now, insecurity, because it is not an area for the rookies. It's for the big players, and it involves a lot of money to come in. Thank God that Mr. President has read out the Riot Act, that the military should come in and help us flush out the illegal miners. But are we not overstretching the Nigerian army? That's one of the questions. Who exactly are the illegal miners? If they are foreigners, how did they get into the country? Don't we have immigration laws and officials of immigration? Lawrence, if you see something, say something. To make this country great, it's not the job of the government alone. It's the job for all Nigerians. Let us decide today that we want to make this, not with clay legs.
Well, that's the spirit. Thank you so much, Mr. Salman Salami, Chief Operating Officer, Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja. As always, thank you for your incisive interventions on the show. Thank you so much, Mr. Salman Salami.
It's a pleasure being here.
All right, that's our program today. We return on Monday, bright and early, for another edition of Newspaper Review on Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja. My name is Lawrence Moiti. Enjoy the rest of your day.